There's about 100 of us in the world, and we produce what is known as the world's most secure operating system. And so I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what we do, and if you guys want to get involved, how you guys can get involved. So like I said, I'm a BSD developer. I got my account a little more than 2 years ago in 2013. I've been using BSD of some sort for nearly 10 years now. OpenBSD since 2010. As the only OS that I use on all my machines since 2011, so that should give you a good idea of how well we run on laptops and desktops. I'm actually a PhD student here at RPI, but I'm in the Science and Technology Studies department. I'm an anthropologist. I actually study culture as an ethnographer, and I'm specifically interested in studying the culture of the BSD operating systems. And I point this out to say that if I can be an OpenBSD developer, then this entire room can be OpenBSD developers. It can't be all that difficult. I also run a bunch of BSD user groups, one in New York City called NiceBug, one here locally called CDBug, and I also run the New York City BSD conference. So I'm a big BSD advocate on top of it all. So OpenBSD begins roughly 20 years ago. We're going to celebrate 20 years this year. 1995 is before giving that BSD. We go all the way back to the BSD project at the University of California at Berkeley, which means we go all the way back to the original Unix back in 1969 at Bell Labs. And you can actually trace our code all the way back to there. So things like BSD, as it came from Cal Berkeley gave us, is VI. Does anybody here use Vim? Yeah, so this is where it comes from. The C shell and future versions of the C shell. Virtual memory, which we all depend on today. Job control, which we think of as just, oh, it's over there. SendMail, so one of the precursors to modern day email. And the curses library. And TCP/IP, so pretty much the undergirder of the internet comes out of BSD, and a lot more. Today's 4 main projects, Free, Open, Net, and Dragonfly, and I work on Open. So we're the security people. That's really what we're known for. So what we do, we produce a free, multi-platform, 4.4 BSD-based Unix-like operating system. So I like to call it a one-stop shop. So unlike a lot of the Linuxes, where you grab a kernel from kernel.org, and then you grab your user land and make a new project, and you kind of have to smash a whole lot of other things together to come up with a distro, we develop everything. We develop the kernel, we develop the user land, and we generally have a pretty good say in what third-party packages that you guys can install. We release every 6 months on May 1st and November 1st. And we always like to have a unique theme, usually a pop culture theme of some sort, which includes artwork, an original song, and stickers. And we often make t-shirts like this, and posters as well. Our next release on May 1st is going to be the Blues Brothers, for those of you who've seen the movie. We run on a lot of different CPU platforms. We're probably second in the world after our parent project, NetBSD, which we forked from. They probably run on more. But if you own a machine, it probably runs OpenBSD. Even machines you've never heard of before are actually running OpenBSD. And like I said, our goal is security. Our goal is to be the #1 secure OS in the world if we're not already there. And we're pretty sure we're already there. But that doesn't mean we can't get better. And we give a huge number of contributions to computer security. This is just a really short list. So Strong Crypto, we often pioneer using the latest cryptography in our OS all across the OS. I'll talk about these other things a little bit: Starl Copy, WXRX, ASLR, Pi, Propolis, random PIDs, privilege separation, swap encryption, linker warnings, and something we've recently done, moving our entire OS to use a long time T. But first, I'm going to prove that every single person in this room uses and depends on OpenBSD. Properly right now, and you don't even realize it. So raise your hand and then keep it in the air if you've done any of the following things. Used SSH. Well, that really knocked out everybody. Use Mac OS 10. Use an iPhone or an iPad. How about Android? Linux? Who's said the word hackathon before? Who's used the internet? Who's not raising their hand? Because if you're not raising your hand, I know you're lying. So congratulations. You all have a personal connection to OpenBSD. You are all using our code. You just might not realize it. So Android's libc is our libc. So anyone with an Android phone, the Linux people like to yell, oh, it's really Linux below. Well, kind of. It's a little bit of Linux and a little bit of OpenBSD as well. The firewall for Mac OS 10 and iOS is our firewall PF. It's also the firewall of QNX, so if you have a BlackBerry still, if anyone still has those, you have it there. And QNX is often used in car computers. So when you turn on your car, it's very likely that you're running some OpenBSD code. Everybody in the world uses OpenSSH, and we're the ones who make that. We are not the ones who make OpenSSL, though. People often like to get those confused. We do have a fork called LibreSSL, though, and it's starting to gain some mainstream acceptance. Some Linux distros are starting to use it instead of OpenSSL. So we'll get there. Our OpenBGPD, the Border Gateway Talking Protocol, is responsible for about 30% of worldwide BGP communication. We have CART, which competes with Cisco and their switches. Our time protocol daemon is starting to gain more and more acceptance. And we're the ones who coined the term hackathon, and we were the first ones to hold one in Calgary in 1999. So some proactive security stuff we do, Sterl Cat and Sterl Copy from 1998. It solves the problem of unterminated C strings. String copy is unbounded, which means you can just write all the way into your memory if you're not careful. And stern copy, which was designed to be this thing that would solve the problems of string copy, doesn't actually null terminate all the time. Does anybody know in what situation stern copy and stern back don't null terminate? Avi, do you know?
I think it's if the length of the string that's copied is the same as the end that you pass the string copy.
Yep. So if your source string is equal to or longer than your length parameter, then stern copy or stern cap will not null terminate, and you'll have the same problem you're trying to avoid. So we make sure, Sterl Cat and Sterl Copy, make sure that you always null terminate your C strings. This also gives you communication detection, because it will return the length of the string you tried to create. But it's up to you to decide what to do with that. It's not always a problem if you terminate your strings, but sometimes it is. The canonical usage is just Sterl Cat, your destination, your source, and the size of your destination. And you can actually call size of dest within the function, as you can see. So you might be thinking, okay, great. You solved the problem back in 1998, but no one's still using this, right? Well, here's a list of software that you've probably never heard of, and certainly don't use, that is using this stuff today. So you have all the BSDs, with the Linux kernel, which means it's another thing that's in Android, and Solaris, if anyone's still using that, Mac OS 10, so they're for iOS. Chrome uses it, Cups uses it, Firefox uses it, Git uses it, so Linus can't dislike us that much. Mono uses it, Perl, Postgres, the newest Qt, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Pretty much everybody using this. It's in every major libc except for glibc, and that is solely due to politics. Part of it is they didn't invent it, and part of it is they think if they didn't put it in, then we would go away. Well, we didn't go away. And now the joke's on them because everyone's using it, and they constantly get pressure to put Sterl functions into glibc. But for now, it's really small. You can just drag off our website like everyone else does and use it in your projects. So we also do WXORX. It's the idea that memory pages are writable or executable, but not both. Pretty much everyone does this these days. Intel and AMD actually do it in hardware now. So if you've ever heard of the NX bit or the XD bit in your chips, that is a hardware version of WXORX. We were the first ones to do it. We hadn't used software at the time because there wasn't hardware yet. We still do it, and it's enabled system-wide. So address space layout randomization, we were the first OS to do it, system-wide, partially at first, it's now all over the place now. We also do position-independent executables, so every time you run a program, you don't know where your memory space is going to end up, and this helps prevent certain attacks. A new feature in the upcoming version of OpenBSD is what we call static pi, or self-relocating static executables. They're actually little, so now when you compile statically, the binary itself can do all the relocations within itself. So you can actually beat people who are trying to use that to start prop attacks with your static binaries. So this closes the last loophole of the ASLR, and hopefully that means we can start doing this with the kernel, because I think that would be awesome. Profics is stack smashing protection. We didn't invent it, but we were the ones who started using it heavily. And random process IDs, it eliminates a race condition. So everyone here knows what forking is. So if you have a root daemon and a force to a child, if you can beat the child to start up, you can inherit its PID, and if it happens at the same PID, or the same privileges as its parent, so that little window, you can get through. So by randomizing it, you then have to guess, and that's pretty difficult. And not everyone does this still. In 2015, Mac OS 10 still does it sequential. So that is a way, if you're interested in breaking into a Mac OS 10 system, that's a way to do it. started root daemon, and then race conditions child when it forced. We also did 64-bit long time T recently. Technically, we weren't the first. NetBSD did it, but we're the ones who engaged with the rest of the software world and made sure that any bugs that were exposed by changing to long time T were fixed. And we do this a lot. We're the ones who usually pioneer new ideas, especially new security ideas, and force the rest of the world to come with us. So what that means is for you guys running Windows, running OS 10, running Linux, when they're finally ready to make that switch, all the software that you care about, whether it's your Firefox, your Offices, et cetera, are already ready for you. That's when we take care of a lot of that work. Some other stuff you might use that OpenBSD developers have maintained, although we don't consider them official projects, are sudo, so you can get root privileges without becoming root, and tmux, the terminal multiplexer that has pretty much eradicated the screen. So some of the things that I do within the project, I work a lot on exotic hardware, especially disk hardware. I got my account by fixing very large software programs that they run on our little ending 64-bit MIPS platform. Think WebKit and SpiderMonkey, Firefox's JavaScript engine. I was also on the team that brought up the OpenBSD Octeon platform, and that is a series of industrial routers that use big ending 64-bit MIPS chips. So I was very involved in that, and for a while I was actually producing the official OpenBSD binaries for the Octeon platform. I also do ports. This is our third-party ports and packages. Pretty much everything you can think of. I currently maintain 100 of these. Some highlights are here. Bird font, which is to make your own fonts, written in Vala. Dillo, the web browser. Foxbox, which is what I use for my window manager. Linux, the browser, name and mess. MuseScore, which is a large, you guys know Finale or other music composing software, written in Qt5. Pinta, which is a fun little MS Paint clone, written in C# and Mono. SDL2, the library. Synergy, so you can use multiple computers with one mouse and a keyboard. And XFE, the file manager. So I spend a lot of time in the ports. That's actually where I spend most of my time. And a recent project that I'm doing is on one of our in-base pieces of software that we call MG. Does anybody here use Emacs? Well, then more thing, 1, 2, 3, no, we need more people using Emacs, I think. So OpenBSD actually gives you a choice when you install it. You have VI, you have MG, which is our little micro Emacs implementation. And of course, Ed, because everyone has Ed, but nobody uses it. Of course, Vim and Emacs are in ports and packages, and it's one command away once you install OpenBSD. We have a culture of constant code auditing. We never consider code to be done, and we never consider code to be bug-free and security-free. So we always encourage other people to be constantly looking at our code, especially where we're not currently looking to find stuff and find issues. I found an almost bug, we call them almost bugs the other day in MG, because we were including headers in a very old way, the way they used to do in the 1980s. And when you try to make them modern, compilation would crash, because we actually had two functions with the same name. One in a header and one in MG. So I've been spending the last week or so cleaning it up, modernizing it. And this is what I mean by culture of constant code auditing. It's never enough for us. You know, we always want more, we always want better. It can always be that much more secure and that much more safe. Because it's not just us using it, it's all of you guys using it. So if you guys want to get started with this, and I highly suggest that you do, all it takes is a computer or a virtual machine and an email client. That's all it takes. We take contributions at every level. Actually, just today, somebody sent us an email saying, hey, your Renice program doesn't do a couple things that are defined in the standard. Here's your path to do that. And probably later on tonight, with a couple of tweaks, will go in. Really, this guy showed about it nowhere. We had another guy show about it nowhere about a year ago, who had simply ported OpenBSD to an entirely new ARM platform. So any size, whatever you want to do, we're happy to work with you and work with your code and get it in. We consider all problems from a typo in a man page to the biggest security hole you can think of to be serious, and we want to treat it as serious. I wrote a little tutorial for BSD Now, which is a big BSD video podcast about how to actually get started with checking out our source code and hacking OpenBSD. The point is that there's a place for you in OpenBSD. There's a place for me, an anthropologist, who sits up in Sage, on the 5th floor and takes STS classes. There's definitely a place for you guys who've been actually coding, unlike me. It's a space that will grow with you and that you can grow with. So wherever you are in your programming courses, OpenBSD can be there, to experiment on. Your early programming courses, we have all the tools you need to get started. Later on, if you're doing kernel work, we have a kernel that's more or less 40 years old and super mature. We're basically the pinnacle of security, so if that's what you're interested in, why go anywhere else? And even like with RCOS stuff, you have a little web app. It's a great base to get started on because you get all the security benefits just by running OpenBSD on top of what you're doing. And of course, if you want to make a port of your software and have everybody use it, you can do that too. We're also, if you guys want to do something over the summer, or Google Summer Code Organization, Search OpenBSD Foundation. We actually had a student last year from Syracuse University, only a couple of miles away, a couple of hours away, I should say. Not a couple of miles. But the point is, if he can do it, and he had a great project, certainly you guys can do it as well. Maybe an RCOS project, I know some a couple of years ago did a Linux kernel hacking thing, and I'm more than down to help you guys get started with OpenBSD and do the same thing. Or maybe you just want to get involved. All of you now know an OpenBSD developer. Hi, right here. I'm pretty sure I know where to point you guys, but no matter where you are in your computer learning journey to get you started out. So if you want to reach me, I'm all over the internet. There's just a few places. My office is Sage 5706. I'm usually there. And if you guys are interested in meeting other BSD users and not just OpenBSD users, CDBug, it's a local BSD user group that I run. We meet second Tuesday of every month in Albany. On our website there, you can come check us out. Questions? No?
You are also in Slack.
I'm also in Slack. That's right. Morty just had me sign up for a Slack account. So it's hashtag BSD update. The slides are on there. No questions then? Thanks.